Hello, and welcome to our session on frequently asked questions about EU citizenship. I've just got a couple of things to go through before we begin. If you do have any questions, please pop them in the comments section, and we'll try to answer them in our live Q&A section at the end of this session. Please also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you'd like to see more of this content. And we also have a survey if you'd like to leave any feedback. It's in the description of this video. All right. Today, we will be covering answers to your most frequently asked questions about EU citizenship, the process to regain EU citizenship, and how Polaron can support you on your journey towards your EU passport. And all right, I would like to introduce today our moderator and founder of Polaron, Eva Hussain. Eva is incredibly passionate about helping people gain EU citizenship, and she has a deep understanding of the citizenship process. She is also a recognized leader in the fields of European citizenship and translation. So welcome, Eva. Good morning and good evening.
Hi there, Kimberly, and thank you for the warm welcome. And I am speaking to everyone from New York, where I've been visiting for the past few days. So it is evening and it is morning in Australia.
Thank you, Eva. All right, now I would like to introduce our guest speakers for today. We have here joining us our two EU citizenship specialists. Now, may I please welcome Lore, who is one of our newest EU specialists, who joined the Polaron team in early 2024 and specializes in Polish and German citizenship. She is quickly becoming a key resource at Polaron, known for her growing expertise and understandings of the citizenship application process. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Kimberly.
All right, we also have here Marina joining us today. Marina is knowledgeable about a range of EU citizenship types with a particular interest in German citizenship, as Germany is her home country. So welcome, Marina.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us, guys, today. All right, now I would like to have Eva to share with all of you guys what we do about Polaron.
Thanks, Kimberly. Many of people that are watching this webinar already know what we do, but in case you don't, I just briefly wanted to cover the type of work and services we deliver. And primarily, we provide services to do with European citizenship through descent, meaning that if you do have European heritage, whether it's Polish or Czech or German or many others, including Italian, Croatian, and Slovak, we can assist you with reclaiming your citizenship. So lots of people whose families immigrated sometimes decades, if not centuries ago, have settled in different places such as US, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. But today, they may wish to move back to Europe or use their passports to travel freely without visas. So what we do essentially is a system with the entire process. It usually starts with research because some people do not have required documentation, and the entire journey of translating, managing their project, and making sure that at the end of the project, they get the coveted European passport. Thanks, Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Eva, for that. Now, moving on, EU citizenship. What is it? Is there anything you would like to tell about this one, Eva?
I do. So I sometimes moderate our Facebook page, which is where we advertise our services a lot. And probably once a week, somebody will say, hey, there's no such thing as EU citizenship. So I have to correct them because, yes, there is such a thing as EU citizenship. And it's enough for you to just look at a European passport, and on it there's a little logo of EU. And what it simply means is that the country that you're holding a passport of is a member state to the European Union. So you kind of automatically become a EU citizen if you're a German citizen or Belgian or Swedish or Polish or whatnot. So it is additional to your national citizenship. And it means that you have all the rights that all the EU citizens have. And currently there are 27 member states. There is talk of extending the membership to various countries. We covered that in one of our previous webinars. And of course, UK Brexited, so they're no longer there. But on the screen there, you can see the different countries that are currently members. And essentially, as long as you're a member of one of those countries, you're also a EU citizen. And you can live, study, work, own property in any of the countries, and you can travel freely between them as an EU citizen. But just to summarize, you need to be a citizen of a country that's a member state of the European Union. Does that answer your question, Kimberly?
Yes, Eva, thank you. I
Thanks.
didn't realize that we have a lot of member states for the European Union. And is there anything else that you would like to share? Any other important facts that
Yeah, thank you. Just that people often ask about that. And it's one of the most frequently asked questions. We'll cover some more in a moment with Laura and Marina. But probably, like I said, once a week, somebody says there's no such thing as EU membership, or no, they know that there's membership, no such thing as EU citizenship. So there you go. Now you know it. There is such a thing, and I've just explained how it all works.
Thank you very much, Eva. Now, I am very excited to hear from our guest speakers, and I'm sure that you also are. So let me introduce again Laura and Marina. So now, for the first question of today, what are the benefits of EU citizenship?
Thanks, Kimberly. And I'll hand over to Marina first. And when we were preparing for this webinar, we went through all the different questions that Marina and Laura and everybody else in the team, and we have a team of about 10 people that answer frequently asked questions. That's one of the first one that comes up, doesn't it, Marina? Do you get this asked pretty much every day?
Yeah, absolutely. And even if I tell a client that they're eligible for one citizenship, it's mostly the first question: what's the benefit of having another passport? And you already mentioned a couple of points. There's a lot of benefits to EU citizenship. Mostly, of course, traveling, living, working. You have access to 27 countries with a German passport, a Polish passport. Whatever citizenship you hold. You can work. So let's say you're an American with a German passport as well. Your company is based in America, but also is based in Europe, right? So this gives you a big advantage. You could hop on the plane the next day and be at another company branch in Europe, and work there, stay there as long as you need it. So it's a huge benefit. For a lot of people, because a lot of companies are international these days. They have offices all over the world. So this gives you, it gives you just a big advantage to be able to not apply for a visa or have any restrictions how long you can stay. Then studying. So I always say that to clients that, some of them are already, in their 40s, 50s, older, and say, oh, but I don't really need it. I don't know if I travel there or if I even, use it. And I always say, okay, that's a good point. But maybe your next generation, right? Your children, your grandchildren, it's always worth to look a bit ahead, because your daughter might be working for a German company at any time. So it's always worth looking a bit above you as well, that you can pass it down the lineage later down the track, and they have a lot of opportunities. So yeah, a lot of benefits.
Look, one of the main benefits, which doesn't sound like a lot, but let me tell you, when you land in Europe as a holder of an American or Australian and New Zealand passport, you do have to stand in the other queue. And what it means, you come out of the plane, and there may be a queue of hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people, and literally 2 or 3 hours of waiting. So it is a little bit annoying when you have to do that. If you can go right through and just take your luggage and off you go, just what I've experienced, when I was coming and going from Australia and also from America, it's a major benefit, I would say. So I would just add that to the mix. Laura, how about yourself? What do people ask you about benefits when you speak to clients or prospective clients?
Yeah, like Marina, on a daily basis. So it's always nice to mention all the benefits. I'm European myself, so I know a bit how it goes. Yeah, it's just something I get questioned a lot, and people are always happy when you mention that also next generation or future generation can claim it back as well. Sometimes people are aware of it, so that opens many doors. Or just if they want to reconnect with their heritage, it's also possible benefit. Or like now that Germany has the dual citizenship, it's also really good that they have that now. So yeah, a lot of benefits.
Right, and I think we should also add things here like, particularly for American parents of kids who are going into university. I mean, it can easily cost you $500,000 to get a degree, depending on which, fancy university you go to. Most European universities are either free or the education subsidized, and you certainly do not end up with a massive loan, essentially, or you don't need to have parents that are well off to be able to put yourself through education. So that's another benefit. And there are things like the Erasmus program, which is like an exchange program for a kind of like a gap year, where European students can take advantage of being in another country where they learn more about other cultures, other languages. And as a EU citizen, you can also purchase property. You can do that as a non-EU citizen as well. But in most countries, you have to apply for a special permit, or you can only buy an apartment. You can't actually buy land, things like that. So some countries also offer lower tax rates. So there's all kinds of reasons. But for most people, it's just having a plan B or having yet another option. We know that we live in a pretty polarized world with lots of political perspectives, and our American clients in particular, they like to have a second passport because you can have that flexibility and that plan B should you be sick and tired of the politics here in America, which we're watching with a lot of interest as we're nearing elections. All right, Kimberly, what is our next question?
All right, moving on. The second question would be, how do I know if I am eligible for EU citizenship?
Thanks, Kimberly. So we've already said that EU citizenship is an kind of like an overarching citizenship, and you do need to be a citizen of a member state to have it. Marina, I'll hand over to you right now just to explain to us just briefly about how that works. How do we know that people actually qualify for citizenship? Because each member state has got regulations and laws that are quite different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are rules that are different for every country. So this is where we come into the picture. If you think you have European ancestry in your family, it is well worth reaching out to us and book a phone consultation. That's probably the quickest and easiest way discover if there would be a pathway. Most of the time, if your case is not completely out of the ordinary, we can give you a quite good indication if it's worth looking into it more. And we do, several European citizens, Polish, of course, German, a huge one, and then we do Italian, Czech, Slovak, Croatian. So quite a variety of citizenships. So this is definitely the best part to start off your journey with us, to just give us a call, and we give you a call, but you can book the appointment with us. And then, like Eva mentioned, it really depends on the country. Every country has different rules when, there's a cutoff time when your ancestor left the country. If you're eligible, there's different things like military, if they joined foreign armed forces for a certain time. So it really depends what ancestry you do have. There's differences in each citizenship.
So we would essentially begin with your family tree and your individual background, I guess, because some people also have mixed heritage. So we work a lot with clients who might have, I don't know, anything from Polish to Lithuanian to German to Romanian background. So sometimes in the information that people provide us, we can find eligibility, even if people don't think that they might qualify for a particular citizenship. So what you've just described, Marina, is, I guess, a situation where we would need to look at you as the prospective applicant and just try and work out where the eligibility sits in your family tree. And that may be, a little bit hidden because not everybody comes to us with all the information. I think that's actually quite rare. How do you find that, Laura? Do people that you work with, are they very knowledgeable about the families, or quite the opposite?
I would say both. Like sometimes they have a lot of information passed on from their ancestors. Sometimes they even have like a family book, especially for German clients. But then on the other side, there are a lot of people that are not aware of a lot of information, especially naturalization dates. So that means when their ancestor obtained another citizenship, which is an important factor, or when they got married, when a next generation was born. But we always ask to fill in on the family tree as much as they know. If they're not aware of something, it's not a problem. We can see whatever we can do. We can perhaps do some research on their behalf. So it's always worth filling out the family tree, having it checked by our assessment team. So we can see if they do qualify, if we find maybe some new information which can be helpful at all. So both options exist.
Yeah, and I guess at that point, there's a lot of toing and froing because I don't know about you, Laura, but I know a lot about my family, but not all of it is very precise information. I do not know for the life of me when my grandparents married, or when my great-grandfather immigrated or whatnot. So people need to provide us with that information, and it needs to be quite precise because we guarantee the outcome of people's applications if they sign up with us. So sometimes I know that there's some frustration from people saying, well, I just don't know. And this is where we might need to research a bit more before we can take somebody's case on. So you guys assist prospective clients in putting the family tree together and kind of motivating them to ask family members or to search, so that the family tree we end up with can be very precise, and based on that we can tell people if they qualify or not. What I might do now, Kimberly, is I know there's quite a few people watching us and quite a few questions being asked. So rather than us talking at people, we might get people to tell us what they want to know, and we'll do our best to answer those questions now. So we have about 10 minutes. Go right ahead, Kimberly.
All right. So moving on to the Q&A. We have here a question that says, Will my father's information be kept private when submitting it for citizenship in Germany?
All right. So I think the question, if I can understand it correctly, so there's kind of two questions for me here. One is, will my father be advised that I'm pursuing this? Maybe. Or the other one will be, how does the German government protect my father's information? So let's see if we can answer both. Marina, do you want to have a go? What happens with the information that the German government handles?
Okay, so if we go with the first scenario, no, not to my knowledge. So your father would not be informed if you are going for your German citizenship, not that I know of. And if we go with the second, so obviously your whole application will be handed over to the BVA in Germany, and they obviously protect your privacy. There is nothing that would be officially released in any kind of way. They just have it on file. It's your file that will stay with the BVA. So yeah, you will be
and
protected.
in fact, that's the case for other European countries. So privacy laws are very strict in Europe. There is GDPR, based on which privacy needs to be strictly maintained. And in fact, for us to be able to access any information at all, we need to have your explicit consent, written consent for all the countries. So we can't just go and ask any information unless you agree for us to do so. And when it comes to how that information is handled for family members or ancestors, it also depends whether the person's alive or not. Because there's such a thing in European law as legal interest. So what that means is that if you can prove that you are next of kin and you are pursuing a procedure of some sort, so in this case, that would be citizenship. If the person is no longer alive, they will allow you to access some information, but not others. It depends really on what we're talking about and how long ago these documents were created. But for the most part, all the European institutions, governments, authorities are very, very protective of people's information and data. All right, Kimberly, next question.
All right. I lost my German citizenship when I was naturalized in the US in 1969. Am I still eligible?
That is a question for Marina to handle. Over to you.
That would depend. So it depends on if you were a minor when the naturalization happened. If you were an adult in 69, you would have automatically lost your German citizenship right there on the spot, which means you can't claim it back as in by descendancy, but you can regain it through renaturalization, which is a different process. I know we have a few videos on YouTube on this topic as well. And yeah, you're more than welcome to send us an email or get in touch with us, and we can discuss this a bit more because it's a bit broader topic to go into. But yeah, if you were a minor, definitely worth investigating a little bit more, because if you were included in your parents' naturalization, in some cases the German law states that you would have not lost your German citizenship. So that's sort of the two different answers there. It depends.
And Marina, with the newest laws that were introduced just end of June this year, Germany now allows dual citizenship, but could you just briefly tell us what happened or what happens with people that have lost their citizenship, just like this person who's asked the question? Is there a process now in the German law where you can reclaim it, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can. So the new law is from June this year. So obviously it's only for people in the future, right? So for example, I'm a good example here because I'm still German. I live in Australia. So if I would now say I would like to become an Australian citizen, I would not lose my German citizen. which I would have lost before June, right? Unless I filed a retention of German citizenship. That's around since 2000, that option. You could ask the German government to, if you can keep your citizenship because you had several reasons before you took on another citizenship. And before that, unfortunately, you automatically lost it. And with the new law, unfortunately, previous people still lost it. So you can't change anything with that new law. However, you can regain your German citizenship through renaturalization, which is an option.
So essentially what you would need to do is apply to the German government to be renaturalized. And just very, very quickly, what are the requirements? Like, for example, do you need to speak the language? What happens when you do apply for that?
Yeah. So if you so you need to have a B1 level. So it's what they say basic German, but it means you have to hold a conversation. You have to be able to speak and understand it. It depends on case to case. There's you need to be financially independent, right? This is a huge thing for Germany because it's a discretionary process. You have to bring something to Germany that they would like to have you back, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
if it's interesting, the process differs slightly if you naturalized after 2000 and didn't hold a retention, because then they see it that you could prove if you would have filed a retention in 2005 or whenever, if they would have granted it. So they look at it a little bit different. But if it happened before, if you naturalized to another country before 2000, yeah, you would have to prove your language, your public interest, why you would like to regain your citizenship. And yeah, and then it's up to
police record and all of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if there are people in that situation, we welcome everyone to contact us and we can look at your case individually. Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, Kimberly, what else have you got for us?
All right. Maybe one last question. Will you handle correspondence with European municipalities to gather required documentation about birth, marriage, etc. to show lineage?
Thank you, Kimberly. The answer is yes. That is precisely what we do. Sometimes what people find is that if you don't speak the language, it's really quite difficult to manage communication with different officers. I can confirm with places like Poland or Czech Republic, Croatia, they just won't respond to you in English. So we do that. And we also know where the records sit because guess what? Europe or individual countries do not have a database. Like often people imagine that you can go to something like ancestry.com and things will pop up. No, it does not work like that. You need to know what you're looking for what period of time, for whom, you just really need to look at what kind of documents you're after, and also make sure that these are the documents that you actually need for citizenship. So we're not building, somebody's family tree. We're not going after cousins or family members that are not quite relevant. So we work to a checklist, clearly knowing what the governments will want. I'm going to give the last word to Laura, just because we have a couple of minutes left, and just to ask you, what is the strangest thing somebody's ever asked you when talking to you?
Good question. It's not strange, but sometimes people think for the naturalization case, the renaturalization case, that if they apply for it, that anyone in the direct lineage is eligible automatically. But that's not the case if they are already born. So sometimes there's a little bit confusion about it. Yeah, and weird things, maybe sometimes people say like, oh, I have a DNA test from
Ah, yes.
Years back, and in the 1600s, I had a ancestor from Europe. I'm sure I can claim it back, but unfortunately, it's not that easy. But yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So what we're saying is that DNA tests are not enough, and people often think, they might get a percentage of, German or Belgian or whatnot. So they think, well, why can't the government use that? And we know that they won't accept a DNA test. You do have to have evidence. And the other thing you've mentioned is that people might sometimes be a little bit confused about the fact that you need a direct ancestor and you can't go to the left or to the right. It's just how things work. Or if you have reclaimed your own citizenship, but your kids are now adults, for example, in some situations they were not born German or whatnot. So it doesn't, any future children will be born German or Polish or Slovak. It just depends on which citizenship and dates and all kinds of different things. So guess what, guys? The half an hour we had allocated for this is over. Thank you, everyone, for all the questions. And to Laura and Marina for your contribution, also to Kimberly for hosting us. I might just hand over to Kimberly just to quickly show us how you can get in contact with us. And we're happy to talk to you if you have an individual situation that you want to discuss. We don't charge, it's free, and you'll be speaking to people that work on these matters every day. They're experts and they're very, very friendly, as you've experienced just today. Over to you, Kimberly.
Thank you, Eva, Marina, and Laura, for a wonderful discussion. Now, if you would like to find out more about our EU citizenship services, please feel free to email us at citizenship@polaron.com.au, or you can follow along and join the conversation by scanning the QR code. And once again, thank you very much for joining us all today.
Thanks, everyone.